Rolls Royce has just unveiled the 2025 Rolls Royce Ghost Series 2, meaning that they have upgraded or updated the current, the 2021 Ghost. And these changes that they made to this design is pretty much exactly what I wanted to see when I first saw the 2021 Ghost, because I thought the lower bumper of the front end had this little French mustache to it with those upswings and then these cutouts for the front end. And now they fixed that in the 2025 model year, and I think this is one of the best looking sedans on the market today. It's such a beautiful looking car. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you exactly the comparison between what we can see here, what's new for 2025, compare it to the 2021 pre-refresh from front side and rear, and also the interior, which is also stunning. And as I've said before, the more expensive the car is these days, the more physical things you're gonna get in the car, and that is the case with this Rolls Royce Ghost. So before we jump in and have a look at the comparison, let's check out this article from Car and Driver. I'm going to link it down in the description. So 2025 Rolls Royce Ghost Series 2 is somehow even fancier than before. Arrives with restyled headlights, and the taillights look beautiful as well. The restyled taillights that we have here. Inside, the Ghost features new materials such as an open pore gray stained ash and rayon fabric made from bamboo called Duality Twill. The twin-turbo V12 engine carries over unchanged, thankfully. We still have a V12 in this thing, producing 563 horsepower. The visual changes are subtle. Yes, they are subtle, but I think they are very impactful as well, with slimmer headlights that have an upward curvature to the bottom edge instead of the blunt or rectangular look of the outgoing car. And that is probably the one thing that I think they should have kept from the outgoing the pre-refresh. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a minute in Photoshop. The lower bumper has been toned down too, with smaller vents, thankfully. No French mustache anymore, and two flowing chrome elements, while new taillights are inspired by the Spectre. I think they look so much better in this design than the Spectre, because in the Spectre it feels like the taillights are just a separated unit that they glued on to the bodywork. Here it's much better integrated in the metal of the car. The Ghost is also offered with two new 22-inch wheel, 22-inch 9-spoke wheel designs, looking great. Rolls-Royce cooked up a new exterior paint color called Mustic Blue. Picture at the top, you can see that right here. And what this is supposed to do is emulate the Caribbean island of the same name. And Rolls-Royce mixed in glass and mica flakes to achieve a shimmer effect that's supposed to look like the sunlight reflecting on the sea. How fantastic is that? The new hue also served as an homage to the Phantom, which was the first Rolls-Royce to use pearlescent paint. Inside, the Ghost gains Rolls-Royce's latest Spirit infotainment system, displayed on a central screen housed behind a glass panel, stretching the width of the dashboard, but it looks very well integrated here, which is key. The illuminated fascia on the passenger side had been redesigned to emulate time-lapse celestial photography. I mean, there are some crazy things going on with the paint and the interior of this Rolls. I mean, you get what you pay for. Bespoke also now allows owners to select the color of the digital instrument cluster to match the car's exterior and interior and exterior color palette. I do like that. A new clock cabinet as well in the dashboard houses both an analog clock, thankfully, and an illuminated stainless steel Spirit of Ecstasy emblem. You can see that right here. How beautiful is that? We're not done yet, though, with the fancy stuff here. So you have rear screens for the passengers, massage seats in the rear as well, and heated and ventilated seats, of course. If you're paying $350K for a car, that's definitely something that you want to have. So this Duality Twill in the interior is embossed with a design meant to echo the interlinked R badge that represents Rolls-Royce's founders' names. And the Ghost also offers an upholstery look called Placed Perforation. It uses 107,000 perforations in the seat to emulate the shape of clouds over Rolls-Royce Goodwood headquarters. I mean, it's just going nuts here. Under the hood, though, we still have the 6.7-liter twin turbocharged V12 is unchanged, continuing to send 563 horsepower through an 8-speed automatic to all four wheels. Now, Rolls-Royce also has its flag bearer system. That means that it scans the road ahead of you. It sees some, dips or imperfections in the road, and it adjusts the suspension before it arrives to that imperfection in the road to make the ride as comfortable as possible. I mean, come on. The extended long wheelbase returns for 2025. There are no words yet on the price of the new Series 2, but the 2024 car starts at just a modest $354,750. So this is probably going to be a little bit more expensive than that. So with all of that, I feel like it's luxury overload here. But with all of that, let's check out the design of this new Ghost and compare it to the old one from front, side, and rear. If we have a look at the lower bumper of the pre-refresh, this section right here, there are so many small details in the refresh that just makes this a much better Rolls-Royce design. So we have this area down here with this opening for the lower section, and then they swirl up, kind of creating this mustache look right here with this intake or with this cutout for the fog lights or daytime run lights down here. And this is a very interesting feature because now it makes this piece that sticks in here from this area to this area here, this makes it feel like a small little island, and it makes it feel a little weak in the front end by having that. It feels like you can break that off, if that makes sense. You also have a different integration of the grille in the pre-facelift. We have these cut lines here on the side and sort of a chamfer that goes in to this corner, but we do have very nice chamfers housing the headlights here, looking very beautiful. I also do like the LEDs that we have in the pre-facelift here. Now, looking at the new one and the changes that I made, you can see just how much more simple it became. And also the integration of the grille now sits flush with the body. We don't have, you see this cut line here. I guess they needed to have this for manufacturing reasons, this cut line right here, but when we remove that, it makes it look so much more upscale and so much more elegant removing that piece. And we also removed this cutout that made the lower section look weak. We don't have that now because they completely removed it. And instead, we have a more straight line at the bottom now. This was more of a curvature, like a smiling face down here. Now it's more stately. Two horizontal lines here going up. I don't mind this upswing at all. I think this looks pretty elegant to have this. I also love that we have this piece cutting into the body, creating a chamfer here, and then a thicker chamfer right here going into a thinner chamfer above this key graphics that is the lower intake. So this is a thick chamfer here going into a thinner one at the lower section, looking very, very nice. And of course, the integration of the grille. It sits completely flush here. It feels like it's a part of the metal now because the tolerance is here between how the grille is integrated in the body, and the overall positioning of the grille now looks a lot better than what we had here. Let me remove this so you can see all the lines that we have going on. All right, cut lines, chamfer. It still looks very good, but this just looks so much better to remove all of these lines and chamfers that we have going around the grille. And of course, we do have new headlights here as well. Beautiful looking chamfer at the bottom going into this corner chamfer right here. And they also cut the corner of this headlight right here. Instead of having it be a rectangle like this, we now have a cut here. Do love the very simplistic L-shaped daytime run light up here. It's exactly what I want to see in a Rolls-Royce. A lot of horizontal lines and vertical lines connecting in a very, very beautiful way for the Rolls-Royce. But as I said, I think I would still prefer to still have a fully rectangular headlight right here, so not cut this corner like we did right here for the new one. The grille looks great as well. It was more of a chrome finish. This is probably something you can customize if you want to, but I definitely prefer to have this more almost tinted chrome or gunmetal feel for the grille in the front end. Looks very nice, specifically the black graphics with the white exterior. You can see the some hint of what's going on in the interior, which we're going to have a look at in a minute. Now, looking at the side view, The proportion of this car is just spot on, typical Rolls-Royce proportions, meaning that we do have a nice line here at the bottom, carving out here going into the bumper, and we have this sloping shoulder line that needs to have a downward angle to it, given this car motion when it sits still from a side view as well. You can see that there aren't really any big changes in the side view for the refresh. Of course, they're not going to change a lot in the side view here in the metal for a simple it's not a simple refresh, but for a mid-cycle refresh like this being the black badge down here, you can see that because we do have this pinstripe going through the entire car across the shoulder line to emphasize this key line of Rolls-Royce. It is this dipping line going into the very corner of the taillight. We have a thicker D-pillar here as well, like we want on Rolls-Royce, feeling like it's protecting the passengers in the back. I like the suicide doors here as well. The new wheels look great. I would now maybe I would want to switch these out, because for the Ghost, I would much rather have something like this, a multi-spoke design, maybe a lot of spokes, thin spokes in a very simplistic design is what I would like to have for my Ghost. If I were to have a super luxurious car like this, I want to have multi-spoke, simple design wheels. Now, looking at the rear end here, couple of changes here in the back as well. The big changes here is going to be the taillights. I was never a fan of this chrome trim piece, but I do like the integration of the internal pieces here with this daytime running light that goes in here that follows the outline of the housing for the taillights. Looking very beautiful. A little bit of chrome here in a big boot, of course, or a trunk. A couple of things that I would like to change in the refresh as well. First of all, you can see the new taillights here. What I love about the new taillights is, as I said in the article, if you look at these are inspired by the Spectre by having two key lines like this, which looks absolutely stunning to me. I think it's a beautiful looking taillight, and it has a connection to the shoulder line. So it's like the shoulder line right here is now connecting into the key graphic feature, which is the taillight, looking very, very beautiful into a proper bumper at the lower section. However, if you compare this to the Spectre taillight, which I said looked like a taillight they just took out of the parts bin and glued on top of the bodywork or metalwork of the Spectre, here it's completely flush with the body, and it looks so much more beautiful and so much more expensive to have it integrated like this. You can see the tolerances here, just how flush this sits with the body. It's a continuous line from the body going into the key graphic in the rear, which is the taillight right here. Love that it's blacked out instead of chrome. However, the lower section here, two changes that I would like to do here. First of all, this line, I don't like it. I want to have a smooth transition from the side into the rear here. So this is area 1, this is area 2. I don't want to have a sharp line here. You can see that more clearly here. I want to have this be a smooth, rounded transition into the rear end. And the second change I would like to see here is the tailpipes. I don't feel like they are sort of in between. They do want to show off the tailpipes, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like they have a clear housing for them. So if we're going to have tailpipes like this, I want to have some sort of framing for them and not just have them be cut out from the bodywork of the bumper itself. Or the option for this was to just hide the taillights altogether and just have this white extend all the way out to the very end points of the rear end. But overall, the exterior design of this, the changes are great, and as I said, these are pretty much the changes that I wanted to see when I first saw the new Ghost back in 2021, specifically in the front end. Now, last but not least, check out this interior. And is this a place you want to sit in for a long time, driving across continents or what? I mean, for me, this is one of the best looking interiors on the market today. Look at all the craftsmanship going on here. And I said when the new Cullinan came out, the black badge, that it looked like a sports shoe because we have some neon colors in there. But in this case, this is the old one up here. So having this lilac, this dark purple interior, it looks so good that this is probably the spec that I would pick for for my Ghost. I would not want to have this gloss though. I would much rather have this be in some matte finish, because I think that just looks better and adds a little bit, a hint of sportiness to the interior. But looking at the new one here, you can see that this is the type of interior that I would like to have. This is still gloss, but it's more carbon fiber like, or is probably is carbon fiber. I mean, if you're paying 350K, it's not going to be carbon fiber like texture. It sort of has to be, you know, proper carbon fiber. And we have this beautiful illuminated analog clock inside of the dash with the Spirit of Ecstasy in metal down there. I mean, the luxury feel for this interior is just over the top. And in addition to that, look at this. How simple is this layout here with all these buttons and these dials for the temperature? This looks like something that came out of the 70s, and that is what I want to see. This, you just slide this back and forth to, if you want to go warm, you just slide it this way, cold that way. You have all the buttons for the fan speed and so on. The fan speed is probably up here, and some additional small little buttons for additional functions for the interior. The overall design here for the interior looks beautiful with this wave shape that we have up top for the design, and the dash and the materials is just, I mean, it's a Rolls Royce. What do you expect? It's supposed to be the top of the top when it comes to craftsmanship and quality, overall build quality. And this is a car, I don't think Rolls-Royce would ever, hopefully they will never go into a fully digitalized environment for their cars. I don't think that has anything to do with luxury anymore, because tech is becoming so cheap. I mean, you can buy screens for so cheap today. But having a physical object, that is going to be more in line with luxury brands moving forward. You can clearly see that here with this Rolls-Royce. So overall, a great refresh by the design team of Rolls. I'm a huge fan of what they did here, as I said, specifically with the front end. And this is a car that, when it comes to sedans and proportions and the interior design, I mean, to me, this car is just spot on in pretty much every single aspect.